You wonder why the young kings keep losing their lives, cause we don't keep the commandments. We gotta keep the commandments. You wonder why we first fight, last high, cause we don't keep the commandments. We gotta keep the commandments. We scream Black Lives Matter but don't prevail. Fred Hampton started the Black Panthers to no avail. Cause if you really wanna see change come, you gotta keep the commandments. You gotta keep the commandments. March through the hood, can't stop the violence, but violence never stops. Cause in the hood we raised to hate each other. You ain't my brother, you a op. Biggest problem is our culture, but we glorify hip-hop. Not understanding what it's doing to us, the cycle never stops. Upheld in drug dealing, sleeping with multiple women, robbing plus doing drugs, and everything that lead to prison. Oh, you can't see my vision unless you know what God commandments is. The guideline of success, everything else is vanity. The solution ain't challenging, it's all pretty simple. Our creator gave us instructions, all we gotta do is listen. But we rather debate and try to justify religion. Gotta teach the people we Israelites, not modern day Christians. You wonder why the young kings keep losing their lives, cause we don't keep the commandments. We gotta keep the commandments. You wonder why we first fight, last high, cause we don't keep the commandments. We gotta keep the commandments. We scream Black Lives Matter but don't prevail. Fred Hampton started the Black Panthers to no avail. Cause if you really wanna see change come, you gotta keep the commandments. You gotta keep the commandments. MLK say he integrated us into a burning house. So why is him having the dream the only thing that's talked about? The scriptures tell us be holy, not break our necks to be accepted somehow. Sometime after slavery, that message got intercepted. It seems we try everything but the right thing, but ain't nothing gon' change until we change. It's insane, we want different results but do the same things. Yeah, we the salt of the earth, but we promote the wrong things. The ox know it's on her, and the ass is master's crib, Isaiah 1. But Israel don't know, my people don't consider. Been looking for answers all this time, can't seem to solve the riddle. We gotta stop practicing sin, cause that's how we get delivered. You wonder why the young kings keep losing their lives, cause we don't keep the commandments. We gotta keep the commandments. You wonder why we first fight, last high, cause we don't keep the commandments. We gotta keep the commandments. We scream Black Lives Matter but don't prevail. Fred Hampton started the Black Panthers to no avail. Cause if you really wanna see change come, you gotta keep the commandments. You gotta keep the commandments.
One day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
I must confess that that dream that I had that day has at many points turned into a nightmare. Now, I'm not one to lose hope. I keep on hoping. I still have faith in the future. But I've had to analyze many things over the last few years, and I would say over the last few months. I've gone through a lot of soul-searching and agonizing moments. And I've come to see that we have many more difficult days ahead, and some of the old optimism was a little superficial, and now it must be tempered with a solid realism. And I think the realistic fact is that we still have a long, long way to go.
Shalom, shalom. Shalom, shalom, family.
Shalom.
So the title for the lesson is, why did Dr. King believe that he integrated us into a burning house? And if you're tuned in, if you could go ahead and give us a like and a share on the video. And also you can use the @highlight feature, and it'll help alert some of the people on most of the people on your friends list. Brother, you got anything you want to add?
Yeah, not too much. Just it is echoing the similar sentiments of the highlighted comment. Just make sure to like the video, make sure to comment so that we can see that you're here. Also, share the video as well as tagging all your friends by utilizing the highlight feature. But that's all I got.
The water. And even, to be a little more intimate, you can also send it to the inbox. Some people respond better to intimate messages sent straight to them, directly to them. But without further ado, just want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh in the name of his only begotten son, whose name is Yahweh Shai, who most people call Jesus. So we just want to go ahead and get into this article. Brother, if you can get your screen shared. And this is the first article. There's a couple of them I'm going to. The two, the last two, they're pretty short. This one is probably the longest one. And it's basically, this article deals with the statement that he made about integrating us into a burning house, because he actually, said this, and it was a reason he said this. He was able to see things from a different perspective after being successful in his endeavors of what he was trying to do as far as being integrated back into the society of America, or integrated back into, well, not back, but into white America. But brother, yeah, you can go ahead and get that. We can start reading that.
Can you see the screen? So this is titled Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I fear I am integrating my people into a burning house. So it reads, as the nation prepares to observe Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy this upcoming Monday, a closer look is taken at his fearless freedom struggles. Born January 15th, 1929, in Atlanta, he followed in his father's footsteps as a devout church-going leader in his community. After being spotlighted in the Montgomery bus boycott during 1955 through 56, the young Baptist minister motivated hundreds of thousands nationwide to protest peacefully against the overt racism that has been so prevalent in this country since its inception. He continued utilizing nonviolence as a means when he led the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom, which was August 28, 1963, and continued being an advocate of nonviolence until his April 4th, 1968 assassination in Memphis, Tennessee. However, during the later stages of his life, the peaceful preacher began to incorporate other strategies to attain the same measures. Urban riots must now be recognized as durable social phenomena. King suggested during his role of the behavioral scientist in the civil rights movement dissertation at the American Psychology Association's annual convention in Washington, D.C. on September the 1st, 1967. They may be deplored, but they are there and should be understood. Urban riots are a special form of violence. They are not insurrections. The rioters are not seeking to seize territory or attain control of institutions. They are mainly intended to shock the Caucasian community. They are a distorted form of social protest. The looting, which is their principal feature, serves many functions. He added, let us say boldly that if the violations of law by the Caucasian man in the slums over the years were calculated and compared with the law-breaking of a few days of riots, the hardened criminal would be the Caucasian man. These are often difficult things to say, but I have come to see more and more that it is necessary to utter the truth in order to deal with the great problems that we face in our society. Actor/activist Harry Belafonte shared a similar moment about his friend. Midway through the civil rights movement, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. realized that the struggle for integration would ultimately become a struggle for economic rights. Belafonte reflected, I remember the last time we were together at my home, shortly before he was murdered. He seemed quite agitated and preoccupied and I asked him what the problem was. Let me blow the screen up a little bit. It's lucky.
Salaki, I ain't even pay attention to it. I'm reading it in my phone.
But it says, it says, according to Belafonte, King responded, I've come upon something that disrupts me deeply. We have fought hard and long for integration, as I believe we should have, and I know we will win. But I have come to believe that we are integrating into a burning house. I'm afraid that America has lost the moral vision she may have had, and I'm afraid that even as we integrate, we are walking into a place that does not understand that this nation needs to be deeply concerned with the plight of the poor and disenfranchised. Until we commit ourselves to ensuring that the underclass is given justice and opportunity, we will continue to perpetuate the anger and violence that tears the soul of this nation. I fear I am integrating my people into a burning house. Belafonte added, that statement took me aback. It was the last thing I would have expected to hear, considering the nature of our struggle. Belafonte said he asked King, what should we do? And King replied that we should become the firemen. King said, let us not stand by and let the house burn. 5 decades later, in the burning house, America is still engulfed in flames, and millions of its unwitting victims are in dire need of first aid treatment.
God, the water up. So, just looking at this article, you can just tell how Dr. King had his mind was influenced by things around him, but he wasn't able to really see the clear picture in the beginning. So looking at the first part, it says after being spotlighted in the Montgomery bus boycott during 1955 and 1956, the young Baptist minister motivated hundreds of thousands nationwide to protest peacefully against the overt racism that has been so prevalent in this country since its inception. So he had a whole lot of influential power. He was able to motivate hundreds of thousands of people to protest peacefully. So, just think about how if someone's motivated to do something in the manner that you're promoting it, somebody else may still be moved and motivated to do it in another nature, because you can spark a brain just by a movement or just by some kind of thought that you're acting out on. Someone can be influenced by it to also take action, but in a different way. So when we look at when you go down to the riots, it says however, during the later stages of his life, the peaceful preacher began to incorporate other strategies to attain the same measures. Urban riots must now be recognized as durable social phenomena, King suggested during his role of the behavioral scientist in the civil rights movement dissertation at the American Psychology Association's annual convention in Washington, D.C. on September the 1st, 1967. Now, he wasn't an advocate of them rioting, or he wasn't an advocate of using aggression or violence to get your point across. But as time went on during his peaceful protests and people started to rise up and have riots and actually act out in a way that was different from how he did, he was able to understand why. It says, they may be deplored, but they are there and should be understood. Urban riots are a special form of violence. They are not insurrections. The rioters are not seeking to seize territory or to attain control of institutions. Who that reminds us of? Who does that? We don't do that, but we know who does that. And he says they are mainly intended to shock the Caucasian community. They are a distorted form of social protest. The looting, which is their principal feature, serves many functions. You got to think about how, people at that time felt, as far as like, man, they done took all this from my people And so they feeling justified in taking from those who took from them, the so-called Caucasian male or the Edomites. It says, he added, let us say boldly that if the violations of law by the Caucasian man in the slums over the years were calculated and compared with the law breaking of a few days of riots, the hardened criminal would be the Caucasian man. These are often difficult things to say, but I have come to see more and more that it is necessary to utter the truth in order to deal with the great problems that we face in our society. So he's actually admitting that he kind of tried to turn a blind eye to the way that they were doing our people. And to the point, it got to a boiling point where he was like, I can't sit here and act like this stuff ain't happening. And they making us seem so bad, but look at what they've done to us up to this point to cause our people to act in the manner that they acting. You know, they wanted some type of get back. And Brother Aaron said he became empathetic and understood why. Right. And that's why him and Malcolm X, as you seen later on down the line, him and Malcolm X were able to sit down, have conversations, because he understood why Malcolm X took a different route, and was by any means necessary instead of saying, hey, let's do it through peace. When we look at let's see. So like when you look at the next one at the bottom about it says activist Harry Belafonte shared a similar moment about his friend midway through the civil rights movement. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. realized that the struggle for integration will ultimately become a struggle for economic rights. Belafonte reflected, I remember the last time we were together at my home. Shortly before he was murdered, he seemed quite agitated and preoccupied. And I asked him what the problem was. See, now he was able to get it to the point where, okay, we've integrated. But now he realized another problem. They treat us like dogs. They're not allotting us the same opportunities, the same experiences that they have. This is what he ultimately wanted when he wanted to integrate. They wanted to be equal to the white man, not understanding and knowing you're actually greater than the white man, but you want to be equal to him. So they thought that us integrating was going to lead to us being treated in the same way, getting the same rights, not getting discriminated against. And he was wrong. And he started to realize that after integration, he started to look at it like, well, we're not getting paid the good jobs. We're still at the bottom of the totem pole. So what was the point of us actually doing this? And it started to vex his spirit, which you could understand, because after working so hard for something like that and to be let down, like, you know, for years he did this. He was trying to do this. So you know, and then as we continue to go down, it talks about him believing that he instituted us or integrated us into a burning house. It says, according to Belafonte, King responded, I've come upon something that disturbs me deeply. We have fought hard and long for integration, as I believe we should have, and I know we will win, but I have come to believe that we are integrating into a burning house. He wasn't coming to believe it. He knew it. He could see it. He could see the crumbling of America. He said, I'm afraid that America has lost the moral vision she may have had. And I'm afraid that even as we integrate, we are walking into a place that does not understand that this nation needs to be deeply concerned with the plight of the poor and disenfranchised. Until we commit ourselves to ensuring that the underclass is given justice and opportunity, we will continue to perpetuate the anger and violence that tears the soul of this nation. I fear I am integrating my people into a burning house. So he was able to see these things. And yeah, I was just about to comment on that, Aaron. He said that America has lost the moral vision she may have had. Like, I can't understand how he could say that she had some moral vision when you knew what y'all had just went through prior to integrating, prior to segregation, because before that was slavery. And like to say that they had some type of moral grounds or moral compass before that is kind of crazy. And it just seems like he wanted things to be better than what they were. He gave people a better I can't think of the word. He gave them a I can't think of it, but
it's almost like how people give the
benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
He was trying to give them the benefit of the doubt that, like, maybe if we integrate and we join in with them, maybe they'll start treating us better. But that ain't what was going to happen or what happened. So this article is a pretty good article, and something we don't hear enough of is Dr. King saying, like admitting that he made a mistake by integrating. People don't talk about that. All they do is talk about the "I have a dream" speech. And they say, yeah, one day, little white boys and little brown girls. And like, we've gotten to that point where everybody wants to, mingle with the other race. That ain't bringing no peace. That ain't bringing us, putting us in a better situation. That's not what we're supposed to be doing anyway. And we're going to get to that as we continue to go forward. But first, I want to grab a scripture in Deuteronomy 28 and 68.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 68. And Yahweh shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
Brother Grab shall buy you in the Hebrew. Or buy you in the Hebrew. So like it.
Okay. So the word is Strong's H7069, the root of Quana, and usage is to get, acquire, create, buy, possess, obtain, and then it says of God, originating, creating, redeeming his people, acquire, and then you see in the definition, some of the same things: buy, possess, purchase, recover, redeem, etc.
The water. And so you commonly get people, they'll say, oh, they go to Deuteronomy 28:68, and they say that proves that they Israelites. Well, somebody did buy them in slavery. And they say that without understanding the root word, which the brother just spoke on, quanah. And it doesn't just mean to purchase you with money. It can mean redeem you. And this is what Dr. King was trying to do. He was trying to redeem us. But it was told that when we came to this land, that no man was going to redeem us from the condition we would be in. And so this was a part of prophecy. And we know for sure, because it happened and Dr. King was used in this way, the Most High God wanted him to do what he did. He wanted us to be integrated, to be in this situation that we're in, and for it to continue in the manner that it did. And it's all because of the curses that were placed upon us because of our disobedience. Brother, grab verses 47 and 48.
Come. This is Deuteronomy chapter 47 and Deuteronomy 28:47. It says, because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which Yahweh shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he hath destroyed thee.
Con. So when you look at how Dr. King was like, he realized after integration that the struggle would be economically. So he knew finance-wise, the homes we would live in, the neighborhoods we would live in, this would be where our struggle would be. This wasn't something that he planned for. He didn't know that in the initial beginning of making sure that he could try to integrate us back into the white man's society. But when you look at verse 47 and 48, it says, because thou servest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things. So we're short because of what we haven't done. So it says, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. And when you look at these slave movies, you see this yoke of iron on our ancestors' necks. And so once those yokes of iron got removed off of their necks, we were already destroyed. And that's what that scripture means, until he have destroyed thee. And so when you get to the point of integrating, we're already mentally destroyed and spiritually destroyed. We just want to be a part of something and a part of somebody. And so we're allowed to integrate, but we still have a want of all things. And we're still going to lack in all things because of the curses that we're under from disobedience. So Dr. King couldn't understand this initially, but once he integrated us, he's like, hold up, man, it looked like this is going to be the problem. We're going to still struggle regardless of being joined into these people. So what's the point? So this is why he said, I believe I've integrated my people into a burning house. He was able to understand that then. Brother, you got anything you want to say before I continue forward?
God, yeah, just to touch on a point that you were bringing out in Deuteronomy 28. Like when you look at even how scholars try to apply the word quana right there, it's applied in similar ways that deal with like redemption of, let's say an Israelite being in servitude, like a poor brother being redeemed by a better off brother that's an Israelite. You get what I'm saying? And also just to kind of bring it back to Deuteronomy 28 and the article, within that article, it said something along the lines of, we have to be the ones to put out the flames of fire in this house. But, like the situation that we're in as a people here in America is not a thing that we can fix. It's not anything that any man can fix, but it's going to take divine intervention in order to fix our people's situation. It's like we're not going to be able to just, okay, well, let's put our heads together. Let's get with them and let's come up with this plan. That's not going to make our people better off for the long run, but it's going to take divine intervention from the Most High. And he's going to have to pluck the current rulership out and place us back on high above all the nations. And that's what's going to fix our situation, not trying to put the fire out, which is America. Like I think even in Numbers 35, it speaks about how, the blood has already defiled the land, so you can't, just make this place quote unquote moral again, even though it wasn't moral to begin with, because it was established on blood and crime and iniquity, right? That's Habakkuk 2. But even if you wanted to try to make it quote unquote moral again, the damage is already done. So the only way that we can, as a people, get put in a better position overall is by the Most High coming back, or the Most High sending his son back and intervening and placing us back, in our rightful kingdom, so to speak. But I'll pass it back to you.
Con, the water, brother. Good points. And even in the article, I think it was Harry Belafonte who asked Dr. King, like, well, what are we going to do? And he said, we're going to become the firemen. So he thought he was going to be able to put the fire out. Like, you can't what you can't do is redeem somebody that the Most High God is not going to allow you to redeem, or you're not going to be able to change a situation that the Most High God don't want change. It's a reason that we go through what we go through, because he's trying to get us to understand and realize we have to lean on him, and we have to be obedient to him in order to break this cycle of things that we go through on a daily basis. And until we do that, we're going to continue to go through what we go through. Brother, grab verses 15 through 20 in the same chapter.
This is Deuteronomy chapter 28, starting at verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Most High, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy land, and the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep. Cursed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and cursed shalt thou be when thou goest out. The Most High shall send upon thee cursing, vexation, and rebuke, in all that thou settest thine hand unto for to do, until thou be destroyed, and until thou perish quickly, because of the wickedness of thy doings, whereby thou hast forsaken me.
Con. So, like Dr. King actually understanding and realizing, like, man, our struggle finna be economically. We've been able to integrate successfully, but dang, we finna struggle economically regardless. That's because of the curses. And we just read verses 15 through 20 show plainly, like, yeah, this is gonna happen. You're gonna be cursed. You're not gonna have the finances you need. You're gonna stay in the gutters. You ain't gonna be able to increase nothing, because you're gonna go to this man for want of all things. So, the Most High God has a way of just showing someone something, and he was actually showing Dr. King that after he integrated, like, hey, it don't matter. You're not going to be able to redeem this people. You're not going to be able to redeem this people from the situation that I have placed them in. But yeah, we'll continue going forward. Brother, you got something you want to add?
Con, nothing to add so far.
Con. So, brother, grab Psalm 37, because the brother Dr. King in the article, it talked about how he was he recognized that the rioters, the reason that they would riot, he felt their pain. So he was empathetic toward them, even though he was an advocate of peaceful protests. But he felt their pain, and he was like, just looking at how they treated them and how they looked at them for rioting. But at the same time, he's like, but look at what the Caucasian man is doing to us. Like, it don't even equal. The real criminal is the Caucasian man. He was able to see that. So, brother, grab Psalm 37 and verse 28.
It's the book of Psalm chapter 37 and verse 28. For the Lord loveth judgment, and forsaketh not his saints. They are preserved forever, but the seed of the wicked shall be cut off.
Con. It was nothing that they could do about the wicked that were in power. And it's nothing we can do now about the wicked that are in power. That's all going to be on the Most High, allowing his hand to move, to do whatever he needs to do to those people once we come back and we become obedient. Brother, read verses 35 and 36.
Verse 35. I have seen the wicked in great power, and spreading himself like a green bay tree. Yet he passed away, and lo, he was not. Yea, I sought him, but he could not be found.
Con. So he's going to deal with them, and eventually they will be no more. Eventually, they will be destroyed. So that's something we praise the Most High for. That's something we find a reason to be obedient about, to be delivered from this situation we in, and out of the love for the Most High God. Brother, read verses 37 through 40.
Verse 37. Mark the perfect man, and behold the upright, for the end of that man is peace. But the transgressors shall be destroyed together. The end of the wicked shall be cut off. But the salvation of the righteous is of Yahweh. He is their strength in the time of trouble. And Yahweh shall help them and deliver them. He shall deliver them from the wicked and save them because they trust in him.
Khan. Dr. King, Malcolm X, nobody else, Fred Hampton, none of them were able to deliver us out of this situation. And the only person that can do it is the Most High God through his son, Yahushua. So we got to be able to realize that our obedience is what sets us free. It's nothing no man's going to do that's going to set us free. No president, no democratic leader in general. It's just going to be the Most High God and his son when he sent his sons back to the earth to rule in this rulership in his kingdom. Brother, grab Isaiah 14, verses 20 through 22.
Okay. This is Isaiah chapter 14, starting at verse 20. Thou shalt not be joined with them in burial, because thou hast destroyed thy land and slain thy people. The seed of evildoers shall never be renowned. Prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise, nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. For I will rise up against them, saith Yahweh of hosts, and cut off from Babylon the name and remnant, and son and nephew, saith Yahweh.
And so, we don't have to dwell on what the Edomite or the Caucasian man is doing in his rulership, in his kingdom. This is his kingdom right now. The Most High God is going to recompense him for all that he's done, regardless if it's been because of our disobedience. He's still going to be recompensed for handling us and misusing us the way that he has over this time frame. Brother, grab the second article.
Okay.
And this is a short article from, I believe, a sister. And pretty good.
Khan, this is from the Medium. I fear I may have integrated my people into a burning house. Martin Luther King, by Miss Higgy.
Yeah, blow it up a little bit.
Integration certainly did not serve us well. In our haste to not be separate, we overlooked the value of equality, even if separate. We wanted to eat at other people's establishments, shop where they shopped, swim where they swam, attend their schools paid for with our tax dollars. We wanted freedom and validation and to unconditionally belong in the nation we built. I get it. White folks' ice was perceived as colder, and we longed to taste it. It had been flaunted to us as some prized possession for so long that we craved and desired it. We wanted to drink from their proverbial fountains. As new doors opened for us and we closed, slammed, shut, and or abandoned our own doors and what laid beyond them. Pre-integration, we had our own everything from banks, insurance companies, and schools to taxi services, local stores, tailors, barber and beauty salons, and self-manufactured hair products. We strived to own our homes. We were two-parent intact families who cared for our old and who took in and cared for our young when family members could not. In the form of the Green Book, comprised of hotels and privately owned homes, we had our own hotel system, our own restaurants, entertainment venues, lottery system, record labels, etc. We depended on one another. We were a determined and resourceful people, realizing self-sufficiency despite despicable treatment and being deprived a fair share of and or access to services generated by our tax dollars. Discrimination and racism was blatant and rampant, you know, as it is now. We were mad sick and tired of being sick and tired, so we fought. I get it. Inspired by Dr. King and others, still we fight. He came to realize toward the end of his life that he had helped to walk us into an eternally burning building where we will never be fully acknowledged or accepted. The benefit of hindsight has taught us that integration was not a good thing for the Black community. In pursuit of integration, we lost ourselves and the soul of our community. Still, we pay the price.
You can stop it right there. But like this article, like something she said that just stuck out more than anything. It says pre-integration, we had our own everything from banks, insurance companies, schools, to taxi services, local stores, tailors, barber and beauty salons, self-manufactured hair products. We strived to own our own homes. We were two-parent intact families who cared for our old and who took in and cared for our younger when family members could not. In the form of the Green Book, comprised of hotels and privately owned homes, we had our own hotel system, our own restaurants, entertainment venues, lottery system, record labels, etc. We depended on one another. They were in a better place than we are right now, sadly. And we gave all that up to want to integrate, to want to be a part of what they had. And, you know, that lets you know that this was definitely a divine thing. The Most High God didn't allow it to continue in that manner. Just like we had Black Wall Street and they dropped bombs on Black Wall Street. You know, whatever we tried to do to separate ourselves from these people, the Most High God didn't allow it to happen because it was already prophesied that these people would rule over us with rigor. So no matter who came along and tried to say, hey, I got the solution. You ain't got the solution, bro. You ain't got the answer, Sway, because the answers are right here in the Torah. He told us what we need to do in order to get out this situation. But we rather try to go, you know, another way and use our might in another way instead of use our might to keep the commandments of God so we can be delivered out of our situation. You know, when she started off, she says integration certainly did not serve us well. In our haste to not be separate, we overlooked the value of equality, even if separate. See, that's something that's definitely like, you know, if you don't really understand what she's saying, we were equal being separate because we had our own, they had their own. But then we integrated. Now they got their own and you ain't got nothing because they ain't giving you a piece of theirs. So now you just begging for crumbs from the table instead of when you had your own. And we still to this day are getting crumbs from the table instead of having our own. It says white folks' ice was perceived as colder and we longed to taste it. It had been flaunted to us as some prized possession for so long that we craved and desired it. We wanted to drink from their proverbial fountains as new doors opened up for us and we closed, slammed shut, and or abandoned our own doors and what lay beyond them. You know, they had the white only fountains back in those days. And so that she said a proverbial fountain. That proverbial fountain was just anything and everything that the Caucasian had going on. But it started with those water fountains, not being able to drink from their water fountains, not being able to go to their bathrooms, not being able to go in their restaurants. So we felt like we were deprived of something. But I don't know. I thought I had my ring off. Let me make sure I turn it all the way off. But so just looking at this article, she touched on some good topics and some good talking points. And like even when you get to the bottom of the first paragraph, she said, we wanted freedom and validation and to unconditionally belong in the nation we built. I get it. Of course, that's a natural thing. They're like, well, we helped build the nation. Like, why can't we take part and have a part in what we actually built? But brother, grab Numbers 14 verses 1 through 4.
Come.
Baby, turn the volume.
Oh, Lord in Christ. It's the book of Numbers, chapter 14, verse 1. And all the congregation lifted up their voice and cried, and the people wept that night. And all the children of Israel murmured against Moses and against Aaron. And the whole congregation said unto them, would God that we had died in the land of Egypt? Or would God, or would God we had died in this wilderness? And wherefore hath Yahweh brought us unto this land to fall by the sword, that our wives and our children should be a prey? Wherein it not better for us to return into Egypt? And they said one to another, let us make a captain, and let us return into Egypt.
Con. It sounds like the same thing with wanting to integrate, like wanting to return to bondage. That's exactly what it was. Y'all already been released from the chains, released from the plantations, but now you want to go back and join in with the same people that did these things to your people. It makes no sense at all. And that's the first thing that it reminds me of. Brother, grab Leviticus 11 and 45.
Come. It's Leviticus chapter 11 and verse 45. For I am Yahweh, that bringeth you up out of the land of Egypt, to be your God. Ye shall therefore be holy, for I am holy.
Con. So wanting to be a part of what they had going on is not being holy. It's not being separate. They wanted to join back in with them, when what the Most High God said is, be holy, be separate, be sanctified, be set apart. But nah, we wanted to be a part of somebody who meant us no good and who are not our people. And this is what we get. You fall deeper into the curses by doing that. That's why before that happened, we were in a better shape. We were in a better place. We had stores, we had entertainment venues, record labels, etc., taxi services. Because once you join in with these people, you're not going to do as well as you would have done alone, holy. Brother, grab 2 Corinthians 6, verses 14 through 18.
Come. 2 Corinthians, and Salak, I didn't even have the screen shared, the last two verses. But 2 Corinthians 6, and what was the verse?
14 through 18.
14, gotcha. It's the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 6, and verse 14. Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers, for what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness? And what communion hath light with darkness? And what concord hath Christ with Belial? Or what part hath he that believeth with an infidel? And what agreement hath the temple of God with idols? For ye are the temple of the living God. As God hath said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. Wherefore come out from among them, and be ye separate, saith the Lord, and touch not the unclean thing. And I will receive you, and will be a father unto you, and ye shall be my sons and daughters, saith the Lord Almighty.
Verse 17, it said, wherefore go ahead and join with them. Come out from among them. Be ye separate, said the Lord, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you, and will be a father unto you, and you should be my sons and daughters, said the Lord Almighty. So if he's going to receive us if we do these things, what is he going to do if we do the opposite? he gonna reject us. And so this is why we find ourselves in a situation like we're in today, and why it's so hard to get out of it, because we're not able to understand. The Most High God said, be separate from these people. But you got people that say, no, let's join with them. Like, it's peace, peace, peace. Like, it's fine to be peaceable. You can be peaceable with everybody. That don't mean you have to join in and be hand in hand with these people, when that's not how we were meant to be. Brother, you got something you want to add in?
Just to kind of echo the point, and you see like similar verbiage in Revelation, but this is Jeremiah 51:6. It says, flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of Yahweh's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense. And then, you of course you read this, similar verbiage in Revelation, but as we read in Jeremiah 50, and you even read it in 51, it speaks to, what's going to happen, to Babylon. And of course, us that are in the know, we know that America is Babylon, right? It's the prophetic Babylon that the scriptures speak about, and we understand that, trying to integrate with this place is counterproductive, for our cause as a people, especially if we want to, receive the kingdom. The last thing we need to be doing is integrating, right? But I pass it back to you.
The water, brother. Good point. Grab Deuteronomy 18:9.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 18 and verse 9. When thou art come into the land which Yahweh thy God giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abominations of those nations.
But we did the exact opposite. We came to this land and we got envious and we wanted to be a part of it. We felt left out. So we wanted to join in and do what the other nations were doing here in America. And this helped us to dive deeper into a hole that we still trying to climb out of. Brother, grab Baruch 2, verses 27 through 35.
It's the book of Baruch, chapter 2, and verse 27. O Lord our God, thou hast dealt with us after all thy goodness, and according to all that great mercy of thine, as thou spakest by thy servant Moses in the day when thou didst command him to write thy law before the children of Israel, saying, if you will not hear my voice, surely this very great multitude shall be turned into a small number among the nations where I will scatter them. For I knew that they would not hear me, because it is a stiff-necked people. But in the land of their captivities, they shall remember themselves, and shall know that I am the Lord their God. For I give them an heart and ears to hear, and they shall praise me in the land of their captivity, and think upon my name, and return from their stiff neck, and from their wicked deeds. For they shall remember the way of their fathers which sinned before the Lord. And I will bring them again into the land which I promised with an oath unto their fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And they shall be lords of it, and I will increase them, and they shall not be diminished. And I will make an everlasting covenant with them, to be their God, and they shall be my people. And I will no more drive my people of Israel out of the land that I have given them.
So when we look at the situations that we were in at that time, and we look at now, being able to wake up to this truth, the Most High God is making this prophecy come to life. It says, our Lord our God, O Lord our God, thou hast dealt with us after all thy goodness and according to all that great mercy of thine, as thou spakest by the servant Moses in the day when thou didst command him to write the law before the children of Israel, saying, if ye will not hear my voice, surely this very great multitude shall be turned into a small number among the nations where I will scatter them. For I knew that they would not hear me, because it's a stiff-necked people. But in the land of their captivities, they shall remember themselves. So this is telling us this is what's going to happen in the land of our captivity. We're going to realize that we got to obey these commandments to get us out of this situation. It says, in return from their stiff neck and from their wicked deeds, for they shall remember the way of their fathers, which sinned before the Lord, and will bring them again into the land which I promised with the oath unto their fathers. So for those that say we're not going to go back to the land, and just like Brother Aaron say, it's a cut for them new covenant folks too, because these things have to happen in order for this bond of the new covenant to be completed. This hasn't happened, so we cannot be in a new covenant. We're still in captivity. How are we going to be in a new covenant but in captivity? We still got to be redeemed from this place. That's the salvation. It says, and I will bring them again into the land which I promised with an oath unto their fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and they shall be lords of it. And I will increase them, and they shall not be diminished. And I will make, future tense, an everlasting covenant with them to be their God, and they shall be my people, and I will no more drive my people of Israel out of the land that I have given them. So us going into this new covenant goes hand in hand with us actually being in the Holy Land. So there's no way you can say that we're in a new covenant if the scripture says this. And so this deliverance and this captivity that we're in is where we're going to be delivered from. And Martin Luther King couldn't do it because he wasn't meant to do it, and he can't do it. The only one that can do it is the Father, and through his Son. So, brother, grab Baruch 3, verses 6 through 8.
Okay. This is the book of Baruch, chapter 3, start at verse 6. For thou art the Lord our God, and thee, O Lord, will we praise. And for this cause thou hast put thy fear in our hearts, to the intent that we should call upon thy name, and praise thee in our captivity. For we have called to mind all the iniquity of our forefathers that sinned before thee. Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us for a reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payments, according to all the iniquities of our fathers, which departed from the Lord our God.
The water. So, like, when you look at us being subject to payments, we're subject to payments for the sins that we've committed, that our ancestors have committed, because we're going through the curses. And we're also subject to payments, like multiple payments in this captivity. We got to pay for any and everything. Ain't nothing free. Esau gonna get you for whatever it is that you receive as some type of benefit in this life. You got to pay, whether it's taxes or whatever it may be. So we know what situation we're in, that, you know, we can't sit here and lie to ourselves and say that, yeah, like, the Lord, I'm saved. How are you saved? We going through hell on earth. And until we get out of this hell on earth, we ain't saved. But brother, bring up that last article.
Okay.
And this article, it actually goes into some personal things with Dr. King, but it shows you how cunning Esau is, because a lot of the stuff we're gonna read is not 100%. Like, I don't know that it's for sure fact. Maybe it did happen, maybe it didn't. One thing we do know is, you know, there is documented record that him and Coretta, that he had stepped out on her. But like, as far as like what they're gonna say, you know, in this article, as far as what the FBI had on Dr. King allegedly, we can't 100% just know that for sure that this is true. But we're gonna read this article.
This is from Business Insider. It says 55 years ago, the FBI tried to blackmail Martin Luther King Jr. with a suicide letter. This week, newly discovered documents finally explain the sordid origin of the plan. It says, back in 1975, historians discovered a strange letter sent by the FBI to Martin Luther King Jr. in 1964, in which the agency threatened to spread gossip about King's sex life in the media. "There is but one way out for you," the letter said, which King took as a suggestion of suicide. Although it had been widely known that King was unfaithful to his wife, it was a mystery why the FBI thought the letter, which called King a colossal fraud and an evil, abnormal beast, would work, or was even a good idea. Now, a report sourced from extensive U.S. government records showed that the FBI went to extreme lengths over an extended period of time to document King's sex life, often on a night-by-night basis. FBI Chief J. Edgar Hoover was personally obsessed with bringing down King, originally because he thought King sympathized with the communists. But when he found out that King had had affairs with as many as 40 women, he gave his agents permission to send King a tape recording of an orgy in King's Washington, D.C. hotel. The report is by a Pulitzer-winning King biographer, David J. Garrow, who located the never-before-seen FBI memos deep inside a huge National Archives data trove. Insider has reproduced the letter here in full. Some readers may find the details in this story upsetting. And is it later down? This right here?
Con. And I'm gonna help you read some of this too. It was longer than I thought it was.
Con. When you want me to stop at?
I'll start the reading. An explosive report on Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. sourced from obscure U.S. government records potentially solves a 55-year-old mystery. Why did the FBI send a letter telling King there is but one way out for you, which King assumed meant he should kill himself sometime around 1964? The answer, according to Pulitzer-winning biographer of King, David J. Garrow, is that the FBI had spent years collecting evidence of King's sexual behavior, and agents believed that what they had gathered was enough to shame him into leaving the national stage. What has now come to be known as the suicide letter first surfaced in 1975. Yale historian Beverly Gage published a copy of it in the New York Times in 2014. In isolation, the letter is deeply strange, moralistic, mean, full of personal insults and veiled threats. Without further context, the letter reads as if it were written by an irrational person. It doesn't explicitly suggest King kill himself, but the activists interpret it that way, Garrow believes. Garrow's newly unearthed material helps explain why the FBI adopted such an extreme tactic. The material reveals that the FBI went to extreme lengths over several years to document King's sex life, often on a night-by-night basis. The document paints a granular picture of King's infidelity, which was seized upon by an FBI eager to incriminate the central figure of the U.S. civil rights movement. They also show the FBI to be prudish and judgmental. FBI agents are shocked by oral sex and homosexuality, the documents state. The report, due for publication in the British magazine Standpoint on Thursday, has been seen in advance by Insider. Garrow says U.S. media outlets were offered his story, but ultimately turned it down. To find the documents, Garrow says he spent months sifting through a recent FBI data dump of 50,000 unorganized web links in the U.S. National Archives. The recordings, which remain under seal, were made via FBI bugs hidden in King's hotel rooms, as a Business Insider reported on Tuesday. Garrow said the FBI had put bugs in 2 lamps in King's room at the Willard Hotel. The audio tapes are sealed until 2027, but the memos are available now. The tapes were made as part of an FBI surveillance project that began in 1955 and continued until King was killed. According to Stanford's Martin Luther King Jr. Research and Education Institute, one FBI memo describes how the FBI believed King was highly susceptible to coercion and possible blackmail, which it said could come from communists. According to Garrow, one memo notes that FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover signed off on the plan to blackmail King. Hoover was personally obsessed with bringing down King. You can pick up right there.
Continuing on, it says, according to Garrow, Assistant FBI Director William Sullivan then ordered staff to duplicate audio of King's sexual activities taken from bugged rooms at the Willard Hotel and Los Angeles Hyatt and send them to King in 1964. The material for this blackmail was information on intimate relationships with at least 3 women, one in Atlanta, one in Mount Vernon, New York, and one in Washington, D.C. Another memo refers to a recording where King looked on and laughed as a pastor of Baltimore's Corner Store Baptist Church allegedly raped a woman in the Willard Hotel. The pastor died in 1991. There is no way to verify the FBI's information. It is not clear whether the agents involved were transcribing the true reality of King's private life or creating idle gossip as part of their campaign against him. Alongside the tapes was the now infamous anonymous letter urging King to avoid embarrassment, with the words, "There is only one thing left for you to do. You know what it is. There is but one way out for you." It was delivered inside a manila envelope. The letter runs to more than 500 words and claims to be from an African American who supported the civil rights movement. In fact, it was written by the FBI. It accuses King of immoral conduct lower than that of a beast and calls him a giant liability to all of us Negroes. It encourages King to listen to an enclosed tape. The writer tells King, "It is all there on the record, your sexual orgies. Listen to yourself, you filthy abnormal animal. You are on the record. You have been on the record, all your adulterous acts, your sexual orgies, extending far into the past. This one is but a tiny sample." It concludes, you have just 34 days in which to do. There is but one way out for you. You better take it before your filthy, abnormal, fraudulent self is bared to the nation, or barred to the nation, Salakia. Continuing on, it says, King, Garrow said, immediately suspected the FBI. The FBI overheard him on a later wiretapped phone line telling an aide the Bureau was out to get me, harass me, break my spirit, according to Garrow, who quotes from a memo about an April 1975 interview with FBI agent Lish Whitson. King was assassinated in April 1968. The King Center, the official archive which aims to continue King's legacy, declined to comment on Garrow's report.
I'm gonna pick up and read this crazy letter. So it says, lend your morally psychotic ear to this. Full transcript of an FBI letter to Martin Luther King. This is the letter the memo says King received, reproduced in full from a photograph Garrow included in his Standpoint article. The letter is anonymous, but the author claims to be an African American who supports the civil rights movement. The author names Roy Wilkins as a preferable leader to MLK, whom the letter says is too morally debased for a position of leadership. It includes some unusual capitalizations and punctuation, which Insider has not corrected. King, in view of your low-grade, abnormal personal behavior, I will not dignify your name with either a Mr. or a Reverend or a Doctor, and your last name calls to mind only the type of king, such as King Henry VIII, and his countless acts of adultery and immoral conduct, lower than that of a beast. King, look into your heart. You know you are a complete fraud and a giant liability to all of us Negroes. White people in this country have enough frauds of their own, but I am sure that they don't have one at this time that is anywhere near your equal. You are no clergyman, and you know it. I repeat, you are a colossal fraud and an evil, vicious one at that. You could not believe in God and act as you do. Clearly, you don't believe in any personal moral principles. King, like all frauds, your end is approaching. You could have been our greatest leader. You, even at an early age, have turned out to be not a leader, but a dissolute, abnormal, moral imbecile. We would now have to depend on our older leaders like Wilkins, a man of character, and thank God we have others like him. But you are done. Your honorary degrees, your Nobel Prize, what a grim farce. And other awards would not save you. King, I repeat, you are done. No person can overcome facts, not even a fraud like yourself. Lend your morally psychotic ear to the enclosure. You will find yourself, and in all your dirt, filth, evil, and moronic talk, exposed on the record for all time. I repeat, no person can argue successfully against facts. You are finished. You will find on the record for all times, your filthy, dirty, evil companions, male and females, giving expression with you to your hideous abnormalities, and some of them pretend to be minister of the gospel. Satan could not do more. What incredible evilness. It is all there on the record, your sexual orgies. Listen to yourself, you filthy, abnormal animal. You are on the record. You have been on the record. All your adulterous acts, your sexual orgies extending far into the past. This one is but a tiny sample. You will understand this. Yes, from your various evil playmates on the East Coast to Dolores Evans and others on the West Coast and outside the country, you are on the record. King, you are done. The American public, the church organizations that have been helping, Protestant, Catholic, and Jews will know you for what you are, an evil, abnormal beast. So will others who have backed you. You are done. King, there is only one thing left for you to do. You know what it is. You have just 34 days in which to do. This exact number has been selected for a specific reason. It has definite practice significance. You are done. There is but one way out for you. You better take it before your filthy, abnormal, fraudulent self is bared to the nation. And that's the end of it. And Khan, I feel the same way. That Esau definitely wrote this, because you could just, all these insults, that ain't even the spirit of a Judite. But they saying that this is an African American. The spirit of a Judite don't move like that. We straight to the point. Ain't gonna be no all this, hoopla, and all this name calling over and over again. That's a white man, easily. And that's why I say we can't take what they saying in here to be 100% factual. All we know is that, yeah, he did step out on Coretta before, but that ain't to say that he's guilty of all these things that they said. But it sounds like to me that they came down on Dr. King because he got to the point of realizing, like, dang, I messed up by bringing us in with these people, integrating. So he was starting to wake up and realize we needed to separate in order to be able to be able to accomplish what we needed to accomplish as a people. And ain't no telling. The brother probably would have started waking up to realize who he was, that he was an Israelite, and probably coming to the truth because he was heavy into the scriptures and starting to see stuff for your own self in your own life and realizing, and then going back and reading this Bible, and it's telling you the children of Israel went through this stuff and that you're not supposed to join in with these people and you're supposed to be separate, and I made you a holy people. He eventually would have figured it out, and I believe that's part of the reason why they had to get rid of him. But brother, yeah, you got something you want to add to that on that article?
Yeah, that's yeah, I would just say I would definitely agree with you, and like I put in the comments, man, yeah, that's definitely like they're trying to claim that to be a civil rights, like you got to understand how Esau moves, like they'll try to frame a narrative and say like, oh yeah, this is one of the supporters of the civil rights movement. He's an African American person, and they wrote this letter. Like, nah, like you're trying to put, like, first of all, you're trying to put together this narrative, and you're trying to make it too perfect, right? And then when you read it, it don't even sound like how you're speaking. So it don't even sound like how we get at somebody. You get what I'm saying? But yeah, like, were you gonna touch on Martin Luther King's last speech?
Not really. You can if you want to.
Now I'll pass it back to you if you got something else though.
Yeah, I got a couple scriptures I want to
Con.
come behind that article with. Revelation 18 verses 1 through 10.
Con. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 18, starting at verse 1. And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. And I heard another voice from heaven, saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not her plagues, slacken not of her plagues. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and God hath remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double according to her works. In the cup which she hath filled to her double. How much she hath glorified herself, and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen, and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death, and mourning, and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is the Lord God who judgeth her. And the kings of the earth, who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her, shall bewail her, and lament for her, when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come.
Con. The brother, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was in the spirit when he said he integrated his people into a burning house. Because this burning house is the Babylon the Great, which is actually burning and which will burn eventually. And when you read Revelation 18 verses 1 through 10, you see all of the qualities of what this great country, like, as far as how people look at it, in each different country, the trade, the import and export, how they have the power to go into other people's country and tell them what they're gonna do in their own country. These things show who Babylon the Great is. And brother, grab verses 20 through 24.
Con. This is Revelation chapter 18, starting at verse 20. Rejoice over her, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for God hath avenged you on her. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone, and cast it into the sea, saying, Thus with violence shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. And the voice of harpers and musicians, and of pipers and trumpeters, shall be heard no more at all in thee. and no craftsman, of whatsoever craft he be, shall be found any more in thee, and the sound of a millstone shall be heard no more at all in thee, and the light of a candle shall no more at all in thee, and the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee. For thy merchants were the great men of the earth, for by thy sorceries were all nations deceived, and in her was found the blood of prophets and of saints, and of all that were slain upon the earth.
Con. Man, it's nothing short of sorcery that we were able to be deceived and to go and think that, you know, we're supposed to worship the God of Ishmael to become a Muslim. That's sorcery. To worship the oppressor in Jesus, white Jesus, that's sorcery. To make a people that were actually enslaved by a people believe that this man that was the same skin tone from the same nation of people was responsible for being a savior to them and also to their oppressor. That's sorcery. So it says, and in her, in verse 24, and in her was found the blood of prophets and of saints and of all that was slain upon the earth. This is talking about Babylon the Great, because this is what they were known to do to us, God's people. Were to slay us, were to brainwash us through their sorcery, were to keep us from reading so that they could brainwash us. And so throughout a dispensation of time, they were successful. Brother, grab one more precept, 2nd Ezra 16, and we'll read verses 3 through 15.
Okay. So 2nd Ezra 16.
Con.
It's the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 16, starting at verse 3. A sword is sent upon you, and who may turn it back? A fire is sent among you, and who may quench it? Plagues are sent unto you, and what is he that may drive them away? May any man drive away any hungry, slacken any hungry lion in the wood? Or may anyone quench the fire in stubble when it hath begun to burn? May one turn again the arrow that is short of a strong archer? The mighty Lord sendeth the plagues, and who is he that can drive them away? A fire shall go forth from his wrath, and who is he that may quench it? He shall cast lightnings, and who shall not fear? He shall thunder, and who shall not be afraid? The Lord shall threaten, and who shall not be utterly beaten to powder at his presence? The earth quaketh, and the foundations thereof. The sea ariseth up with waves from the sea, it's like waves from the deep, and the waves of it are troubled, and the fishes thereof also, before the Lord and before the glory of his power. For strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow. His arrows that he shooteth are sharp, and shall not miss, when they begin to be shot into the ends of the world.
Through 15.
15, Slakia, verse 14. Behold, the plagues are sent, and shall not return again, until they have come upon the earth. The fire is kindled, and shall not be put out, till it consume the foundation of the earth.
Con. Yeah, this house burning, and you know, Dr. King and Harry Belafonte thought they were gonna be the firemen, they were gonna put it out. Nah, it say the fire is kindled and shall not be put out till it consume the foundation of the earth. When you look at verse 12, verse 13, says the earth quaketh and the foundations thereof. The sea arises up with waves from the deep, and the waves of it are troubled, and the fishes thereof also before the Lord and before the glory of his power. It's talking about these prophecies starting to, you know, come and occur and starting to begin and start the beginnings of, you know, like these birth pains that we're going to experience here on earth to show that the Most High sending his son back. It says, for strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow. His arrows that he shooteth are sharp and shall not miss when they begin to be shot into the ends of the world. We know that, a regular arrow can't be shot into the end of the world, but those missiles can. And that's why this place that we live in, that's called America, it will become the lake of fire. It will be known as Babylon the Great by prophecies being shown. So it says, behold, the plagues are sent and shall not return again until they come upon the earth. We know that, we're living in a time where we can see clearly that America got something going on. It's plagues that the Most High God has released on this land. And as it continues to go on, it's only going to get worse until he delivers his people from this land. It says that, what scripture is that, brother, where, it talks about the blood in the land and it has defiled the land.
Not Numbers 35:33.
So this land that we own is defiled land. And because of it being defiled, there's a curse on this land because his people have been slain here. So this is something that, Dr. King thought that he could deliver us from, but no man can deliver us from except the Messiah. And with that, I yield. Brother, you got something you want to bring forward?
Absolutely. And definitely a beautiful lesson. Great information and edification on Dr. King and his I guess we could say his evolution. And I'm looking for because I had the source maybe 2-3 years ago. I had
his speech.
And I had it handy, so Lord willing, I'll be able to place the link back underneath the comments of this video. But when you if you just look up Dr. King's final speech, and you should be able to find this if you just do a quick Google search of Martin Luther King last speech or Martin Luther King. I've been to the mountaintop, right? But within this speech, he makes a reference to the biblical story of our people, the children of Israel, in the promised land. And he uses it, he uses that as an analogy, to us as a people and our freedom and our justice. So he makes a eerie link to us and the children of Israel, right? And so I think it's definitely worth looking it up. And let me type it in the chat.
I was gonna say I got 3 minutes and 28 seconds I can play. But it looks like they kind of shortened it up. The speech was probably 45 minutes.
Right.
Probably a little longer. Let me see. See if I can play it real quick.
All we say to America is be true to what you said on paper. If I lived in China or even Russia or any totalitarian country, maybe I could understand some of these illegal injunctions. Maybe I could understand the denial of certain basic First Amendment privileges because they haven't committed themselves to that over there. But somewhere I read of the freedom of assembly. Somewhere I read of the freedom of speech. Somewhere I read of the freedom of press. Somewhere I read that the greatness of America is the right to protest far right. So just as I say we aren't going to let any dogs or water hoses turn us around, we aren't going to let any injunction turn us around. Well, I don't know what will happen now. We've got some difficult days ahead. But it really doesn't matter with me now because I've been to the mountaintop. I don't mind. humility has its place. But I'm not concerned about that now. I just want to do God's will. And he's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land. So I'm happy tonight. I'm not worried about anything. I'm not fearing any man. Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
Like they got a little bit left, I think. Let me see. Nope. Okay, I think they cut it off right there.
Con.
But yeah, all praises. So yeah, you could tell like his message changed drastically, and that's part of the reason they had to get him up out of there. And like that speech was like what? Like right before his death. He died on April. Yeah, that was the day before his.
It was like 31 hours before he died.
Right. Yeah, man. Yeah. All praises, man. The water for bringing that up too, out.
All praises.
But yeah, I just want to just end it by giving all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High God in the name of His only begotten Son, Yahushua. And brother, if you got anything else you want to bring forward, you can. If not, we'll close it out.
Con. All I'll just say is, as the sister put in the chat, definitely great lesson. All praises to the Most High, just, for using you through the Spirit to bring out the edification. And we'll close it out with number 6 and 24 on down. It says, Yahweh bless thee and keep thee. Yahweh make his face shine upon thee and be gracious unto thee. Yahweh lift up his countenance upon thee and give thee peace. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. With that, I'll say Shalom.
Shalom, Mark. Shalom, family.
Can't tell me nothing about life if you don't know pain. How you gonna try to coach if you don't know the game? You gonna get on the field and pick the wrong place. Instead of seeking help, you wanna do your own thing.
A little bit is the love and makes love. That's why I'm giving you all of my love, girl. Thought I knew love, but you redefined it. Took me a while, but indeed I finally found it. Kisses and hugs keeping me reminded. Fake love in the past had me blinded.
So you can't cancel me, cause I don't want the fame. I just wanna wake up my people and break the chain. You just wanna do what you feel, yeah. Cause you're living in the lust of your flesh. Still God is knowledge, but fools despise instruction. They need a Bible college for wisdom. The Holy Spirit instructs me. Sucklers need milk, they can't digest. Me just unlearn, so they misinterpret John 3:16. Saying Christ died for all, but everybody don't need saving. Deliverance is the essence of our eternal salvation.